Welcome, everyone. Again, the title of this presentation is Why Your Posture Matters. My name is Dr. Trish Murray. I am a physician, I am a best-selling author, and I am the Health Catalyst speaker. I absolutely love supporting people like yourselves that are here who are motivated to take control of your health and transform your lives so you can experience and achieve the goals and aspirations of your dreams. During this presentation, I am going to start out discussing the importance of posture and making some educational points using the slides as we usually do, and obviously speaking. But we also have Megan Vestal with us for this particular webinar. Megan is the Discover Yoga instructor for our Discover Health Movement membership. And for the second half of this webinar, she is going to discuss posture for a couple of slides in the same way I am for the first half of the talk. But then we're going to stop sharing the slides, and Megan is going to demonstrate for you and have you hopefully experience it with her and do the movements with her, some yoga poses and movements to help you optimize your own posture. Now, throughout the presentation, if you have any questions during our time together, please feel free to post them in the chat, and at the end, we will be happy to answer any of your questions. Now, Megan, just to give you a little background for Megan, Megan Vestal is a registered yoga teacher at the 500-hour level. She completed both her 200 and her 300-hour trainings consecutively through Dragonfly Yoga and Ayurveda in Sandwich, New Hampshire. She teaches a multitude of yoga classes outside, in studio, and online. Megan teaches gentle yoga, vinyasa flow, yin yoga, restorative yoga, and beginner yoga. Her philosophy is that everyone can benefit from yoga in some way, and that yoga is ultimately the best practice to connect with body, mind, breath, and spirit. In addition to teaching the physical practice of yoga called asana, Megan also provides guided meditation and breath work called pranayama instruction. So why is posture so important? Here's the thing. Most of us were never taught proper posture. If we were, it's more than likely, that training more than likely consisted of large-scale school drills telling us to sit up straight, don't hunch your back, and don't ever carry your school bag on one shoulder, even though it's what all the cool kids are doing. We were never really taught, well, why? The majority of us go around unconscious and unaware of the effect that our posture is having on our physical and mental health. Today, we're going to be discussing the following benefits of correcting your posture: bone and molecular alignment, or I'm sorry, bone and muscular alignment, joint surface health, optimizing your breathing, fatigue prevention, optimizing circulatory health, communication, spine health, fitness and workout functionality, and functional health. Wow, who knew that posture had all these different categories related to it? Now, how do you feel your posture directly affects your everyday life? What I'd like you to do, if you're willing, and I hope you just have a little piece of paper and maybe a pencil nearby or a pen, if you grab it for just a second. I like to have people, check in with themselves at the beginning of these talks so that you can get a sense of what do you want to address for yourself. So if you take a scrap piece of paper and write down your answer to the following questions. First of all, do you feel your posture could be improved? And that's pretty much a yes or no question, of course. But if you feel it could be improved, list a couple things of how is your posture affecting your daily life. And also feel free to type some of this stuff in the chat. Either write it down on your own piece of paper and keep it to yourself, or share it with us and put it in the chat. How is your posture affecting your daily life? And finally, write down specifically what aspects of your posture you would like to improve. So what do you think needs to be improved? Now that you've answered those questions, let's get into these categories. So one of the major reasons why good posture is important for the human body is to ensure that bones and muscles grow and continue to flourish in the healthiest alignment possible. Particularly for children and young people who have not reached their maximum height or finished the growth stages of development. It's vital to maintain a healthy posture, especially in the spine. Think of it in terms of a bone fracture, or if you break a bone. In order to ensure the break or fracture heals correctly, it must be held in place, aligned, and maintained in a particular way in order to ensure it doesn't heal badly. The same can be said of bones and ligaments which are not fully formed yet. So positioning the body in its optimal state with regard to gravity and the forces working against us is ultimately what posture describes. And it's key to helping us to heal, grow, and function in the healthiest way possible. This stands true for us as for us in order to be able to age well. The way to fight against the pull of gravity as we age is to maintain our strength, alignment, and balance, and working on maintaining optimal posture is one way toward reaching these goals. Now, similarly, to ensuring that bones develop and strengthen in the most aligned and positioned way, healthy posture is vital to ensuring the continued growth and development of muscles too. Our muscular composition is continuously changing as we fluctuate between periods of engagement and non-engagement. And the more the muscles are cultivated in certain movement patterns, the more the muscles will grow and support your overall structure. Thus, it makes sense that repeated muscular engagement in repetitive patterns will cultivate habitual movement and habitual posture. And if this habitual posture and patterns are not correct, it can cause dysfunction over time and eventual risk of course, injury. So now I love to use the analogy that what I want you to do is think of your bones as the sticks of a puppet and your muscles and the fascia that surrounds them as the strings of the puppet. The muscles are what support your structure and move your structure. So keeping your muscles and fascia strong, flexible, hydrated, and fluid is extremely important to your posture and overall health. And as Megan will show you in a bit, yoga is a great modality to optimize bone and muscle alignment and function. Yoga will strengthen the muscles and help to mobilize, align, and optimize the position of the bones, and typically unwind the negative habitual patterns that we develop through our typical daily movements or our work patterns. Joints are formed wherever two bones come together. The surface of your joints and the interaction that bones have when they move in relation to one another is the very foundation of postural health. Correct posture decreases the wear of joint surfaces, which are composed of a substance known as cartilage. Cartilage does not have a very good blood supply. So meaning that if you damage it, it actually cannot repair itself very well. So this is why it's so important to place emphasis on healthy movement and optimizing care of your joint structures. This wearing down of cartilage can occur from poor posture and dysfunctional patterns of movement and dysfunctional patterns when you exercise. Understanding how to move and align the body properly may sound like a basic course of action to combat and prevent the onset of mobility issues, but it's one that way too many people still neglect. In this way, we can understand how incorrect posture can over time lead to the development of diseases such as arthritis, osteoporosis, scoliosis, and more. Now, the next reason why maintaining correct physical posture is so important may not seem initially obvious, but posture will also have a positive or a negative effect on your different organ systems. Remember that your connective tissue system is made up of bones, muscles, tendons, ligaments, and fascia. And this system is what connects everything in your body. That's why it's called the connective tissue system. And when you realize this, it's no surprise that the bones of the rib cage, the diaphragm muscle, and the fascia that surrounds everything are vital to optimal breathing. When breaking down the physiology of breathing, it's fascinating to learn that the majority of people are only breathing to around 30%. Yep, I said 30% of the entire lung capacity. And the reasons behind this stems from a lack of correct what? Posture. Now, singers and public speakers are very aware of the effect that correct posture can have on the efficiency of breathing. And it follows that those who suffer breathing complications would benefit from improving their overall posture. By optimizing one's spinal posture and reducing imbalance of the pelvis, and by the way, if you missed our talk last month, go back and listen in my podcast for the podcast and the webinar we did last month on imbalances that you can and how to treat them for the pelvis. We give more freedom to the diaphragm muscle and the rib cage to take deeper breaths if your spinal posture and you have good balance in your pelvis. Now, utilizing our lung capacity to its full extent has so many benefits which extend far beyond good posture. But posture is a definitely good place to start. Now, it's more than just your breathing that's affected by bad posture, although this in itself can be the root cause for developing subsequent illness and disease. Poor posture can be responsible for at least contributing factor to the following complications. And these are only a few examples. For example, shoulder and back pain. If your poor posture habits come in the form of upper back and shoulder pain, the cause could be more straightforward to fix than you might think. Tensing the muscles in the upper back for prolonged periods of time can lead to pain and discomfort in this area, especially for those accustomed to sitting at a desk or being hunched over for long periods of time. Now, another example of problems that will develop are actually gastrointestinal and digestive discomfort. You see, if your poor posture involves the leaning of the head too far forward, it could have a direct effect on your digestive system. The compression of the stomach and intestines, which occurs during long periods of sitting, can ultimately mess with your digestion and make bowel movements more difficult. This is why it's recommended to move your body as much as possible throughout the day, and why the typical office setting of desk jobs needs to be rethought. You could consider a desk that's work height can be changed from either sitting height or move it so that you can stand at your desk, and also taking movement breaks every hour to at least walk around or do some twisting or move or yoga movements, as Megan will be showing you later. And the third example I want to share is, of course, back to breathing and shortness of breath. Another complication resulting from overcompression of the rib cage and lung cavity. Many people who suffer from shortness of breath would benefit from improving their overall posture. Now, posture can also directly affect your energy levels. Remember that habitual bad posture is going to overcompress the lungs and prevent them from providing us enough oxygen to convert into energy. Tight or hypertonic muscles are also compressed and will require extra energy to support and move the bones like the puppet. As such, we wind up spending way more energy than necessary on muscular support and keeping ourselves upright. If the muscles, bones, ligaments, tendons, and fascia are cultivated through movement, we will be well aligned, hydrated, strong, fluid, and then your energy system will benefit rather than be depleted. It might be worth checking in with your postural habits in the workplace and at home to investigate your tendencies. Be mindful of how you are sitting or how you are standing or how you are moving, as they may have a direct effect on your energy levels. It's interesting to learn that chronic fatigue syndrome often includes posture correcting exercises in courses of treatment that place emphasis on proper alignment of bones and muscles to ensure an optimized and consistent state of maximized energy. Now, the circulatory system. Poor circulation can occur as a direct result of what? Poor posture. As we've already discussed, contracting the rib cage and diaphragmatic cavity on a regular, unconscious basis can cause a decrease in oxygen supply to the rest of the body. Also, remember that the fascial system, or the fascia, encases every single blood vessel and every nerve. So if you want your circulatory system and nervous systems to function optimally, you must address your connective tissue system and optimize your posture. And in my latest book, my most recent book, No More Band-Aids 2.0, Finding Answers in a Broken Medical System, which is a collaborative book actually, which includes 7 authors. And my chapter in the book is entitled The Missing Link to Healthy Aging, explains the fascial system and provides steps to take to optimize your fascia. In that chapter, I actually challenge you to a 21-day challenge of doing the exercises I provide you in the chapter. And I suggest some very definitive and specific dietary things to follow. And I suggest a very specific amount of water to be drinking every day. And if you follow it for the 21 days and you see the differences and you feel better, then hello, that's going to be hopefully convincing to you that you need to be focused on this connective tissue in your posture and your movement on a regular basis. Now, another relatively unexplored facet of the importance of maintaining good posture can be observed in our communication. Relatively speaking, it's easier to effectively communicate with someone who is calm, relaxed, open, and in a positive frame of mind than someone, of course, who is grouchy, tired, and unwilling to negotiate or discuss ideas. All of these qualities are either consciously or, of course, unconsciously manifested through our body language, which has a direct relation to our posture. The next time you communicate with someone in a straightforward, pleasant, and relatively easy way, take note of their posture. Chances are it will be good. The flow of blood, oxygen, and energy around their body has ultimately provided them with the most balanced and energized state necessary to conduct productive thought and engage in discussions, instead of someone who might seem stubborn or stubborn to entertaining ideas or communicate effectively. Bad posture causes energy to quite literally get stuck in areas of the body which are not designed to hold or process it. Stuck energy has many different ways of manifesting itself, and most commonly as negative emotions or unconscious actions. And in yoga, these energy centers are referred to as the chakra system, and most practices will focus around balancing out these areas to encourage a steady flow of energy. But you don't have to be a yogi or understand understand the smooth out your energy. Simply being more aware of your posture can be an excellent place to start. So the spine is an intricate structure comprised of many webs of nerves, muscles, and important pathways through which energy can travel around the body. Correct posture is more than just a cosmetic recommendation. It is a vital factor in overall spinal health. Back and neck pain are two of the most common complaints which are directly caused by poor posture, both of which are associated with the spine being held in asymmetric and dysfunctional positions for prolonged periods of time. Over time, the stress of poor posture can change the anatomical characteristics of the spine, leading to the possibility of constricted blood vessels and nerves, as we've talked about, as well as problems with muscles, discs, and joints. And all of these can be major contributors to back and neck pain, as well as headaches, fatigue, and possibly even concerns with major organs, and of course, as we've said, breathing. Now, in order to optimize your posture and improve your ability to move and decrease pain, I am a huge proponent of functional movement as being your focus. So what does that mean? In order to improve one's functional movement, diverse whole body exercises should be implemented. And this is why, folks, we have created Discover Health Movement Membership, which has weekly online classes in multiple movement modalities to affect your balance, strength, posture, flexibility, and even your mental clarity. In short, functional movement involves the repetition and engagement of different muscle groups and areas of the body with organic movements. These movements are designed to access and assess the most fundamental movements of the individual human body. The theory behind it is that our bodies, while they all appear similar in structure, mobility, and function, are in actual fact vastly contrasting from one another, and as such will not all benefit from particular exercises in the same way. So if you typically exercise in only one way, such as always running, or always biking, or always weightlifting, then your functional movement abilities and performance will not be optimized. You see, movements that integrate the nervous and connective tissue systems in diverse, full body exercises will not only help optimize your posture, but also your overall health. Now, there are a surprising amount of correlations between proper posture and elevated mood levels. And this is due to a number of reasons. The most evident of which stems from the relatively recent discoveries and studies into the gut-brain relationship. In a situation where the individual is not engaging in proper posture, it's likely that his or her gastrointestinal tract will be pressured or compressed in one way or another. And this can lead to indigestion and complications with nutritional absorption, which of course occurs in your gut. And this lack of proper digestion and absorption of nutrients in the gut contributes to what has become understood as the gut-brain axis. Simply, that the gut's ability to absorb and process nutrients has a direct effect on the neurotransmissions and the neurotransmitters in your brain, which affect your overall sense of well-being and positivity. And in this way, we can understand how posture and overall happiness are also connected. It's not just when we're sitting down or standing that we should be wary of our posture either. Getting the most out of workouts and ensuring your body stays safe as you strain it and as strain is placed on specific areas during a gym session, for example, comes down to proper alignment and body awareness during exercise, especially during weightlifting sessions. It's vital to align the body correctly. And having been a competitive bodybuilder in my 20s and 30s, I was trained, it was drilled into my head, folks, by my trainer, prior to doing any lift, to first focus on my feet and my foundation, and then my legs and my pelvis, and then my core, before I ever initiated lifting the weight itself. And this is imperative to the form of the exercise and kept me from injuring myself over many years of very heavy lifting. So the muscles and ligaments, and if they have imbalance that results from poor alignment or imbalanced movement or poor habitual movements, whether you're at work or whether you're exercising, can lead to all sorts of problems, including injury, specific injury, or chronic back, neck, and shoulder pain, foot, knee, hip, back injuries, headaches, stiffness, muscle atrophy and imbalance and weakness, impingement of nerve compression, sciatica, which many people are familiar with, or even carpal tunnel syndrome. And this is why, whether you are an elite athlete a weekend warrior, or a couch potato. You need to learn movement techniques and tools that can empower you to align your own spine, unwind your own fascial knots, hydrate your tissues, strengthen your core, and optimize your posture. Now, with all of this in mind, I'm going to turn the presentation over to Megan Vestal, who is our Discover Health Movement Membership Yoga instructor. So Megan, can you unmute yourself?
Yes, thank you, Trish.
Great, and I'll just move it to the next slide for you.
All right. So it's widely thought that the overall most important factor in optimizing our physical posture is simply to cultivate higher levels of body awareness. Studies have shown that those with higher levels of body awareness generally experienced lower intensities of physical illness than those with lowered body awareness. This supports the theory that simply by being more aware of our bodies, we reduce the likelihood of developing imbalances related to illness and poor posture. By observing things like gait, repeated movements, and repeated instances of particular illnesses and imbalances, we cultivate greater body awareness. Other things that improve our ability to accurately observe our bodies on a deeper and more personal levels include things such as yoga, Pilates, and meditation. The slowed down strength and alignment-based movements of these exercises allow practitioners to cultivate a stronger sense of bodily alignment, which over time can lead to drastic improvements in things such as body awareness and body image. In anatomy, proprioception refers to the awareness and the sense of relative positioning of one's physical place in space, and the impressions and beliefs of strengths and weaknesses to this. So you might be asking yourself, how do I improve my posture? It's one thing to understand your poor posture and accept that maybe something should change, but it's another thing to actually know how to safely do so. So as with physical adjustment and alignment, optimum posture varies for everyone. And it's incredibly important to ensure that any changes you make are actually beneficial and healthy for your own body. So there are a number of ways that we can have poor posture, but I'll go through two specific examples. So one is slouching. If you're used to slouching in a chair, exercises to strengthen your core and buttock muscles, along with some spinal extensions, will help to correct a slouching posture. Exercises to correct this slumping or slouching include things like bridges, back extensions, and planks. Another example of poor posture is a pronounced lower back curve, and I'll be able to demonstrate this for you in the next piece here. But if your bottom tends to stick out, you may have what's called hyperlordosis. This kind of looks like a Donald Duck posture. So core and buttock strengthening exercises, hip flexor and thigh stretches, and making a conscious effort to correct your standing posture are recommendations to help correct this sticking out bottom. Exercises to also correct this Donald Duck posture include things such as planking, side-lying leg raises, hip flex stretches, and the standing thigh stretch. So from here, we're going to stop sharing the slides, and I will be doing a little yoga demonstration for you. Here we are. Okay, so you are welcome to join along. If you're in a place within your home or office that you have a little bit of room, some floor space, and you are likely already seated, so a chair for the first portion of this demo. So we're going to start with some seated exercises, then we'll move into some standing poses, and then we'll move on to the ground for some stretches and poses there. So we're going to start from your comfortable seat, whether you're on a chair, a couch, a stool, or an ottoman like I am on right now. What I'd like you to do is, if you are on a chair that has a back, go ahead and move a little bit further towards the front of the seat, just so that you're not tempted to lean back. Okay, from here, you'll want to ground both of your feet. So I am notorious for crossing my legs or even sitting with my legs both crossed, kind of pretzel style in my chair. But for this, both feet are going to be grounded. And I want you to sit up nice and tall. Take just a few moments here to feel your feet nice and grounded. And start to acknowledge the length in your spine. Relaxing your shoulders down away from your ears and actively pressing up through the very top of your head. If you'd like, you could even bring one of your hands to the top of your head. And instead of pressing hand down to skull, instead press your skull into your hand. You might find that you gain 1/4 of an inch, 1/2 inch, just by sitting up straight. And you can remove your hand if it was planted to your head. And just take a few deep breaths. So some diaphragmatic breaths. We want to feel some movement in the area of the belly. So as opposed to breathing up into the area of the chest, go ahead and inflate your belly as you breathe in nice and deep. And then exhale, let the belly come back to its natural shape. Do that a few more times. Great. So from here, we'll do what are called seated cat and cow. If you're used to a yoga practice, you are probably doing these on your hands and your knees, but I think they are a great couple poses that you could do from a seated position. So I'm going to move to the side of my chair just so that you're able to see my spine. From your nice tall seat, I would recommend bringing your hands either to your thighs or to your knees. So sitting up nice and tall. Again, pressing crown of the head up towards the sky. And we're going to start with our seated cow. So for seated cow, go ahead and let the belly start to come forward. Lifting and pressing forward with the center of your chest, your sternum or your breastbone. And then bring your gaze up slightly. So you'll see that I'm really exaggerating and extending my spine. This is our seated cow. Take a nice deep breath in here. And then as you exhale, we're going to do the opposite. Start rounding through the spine, exaggerating here, and drop your chin down towards your chest. So you can see my back is really rounded. This is our seated cat. We'll do a few more of these with our breath, matching breath to movement. So as you inhale, come up, belly forward, chest lifts, take the gaze upwards. And as you exhale, round through the spine, drop your chin down towards your chest. We'll do one more. Inhale, lifting to that seated cow. And exhale, round back through that seated back. Good. Inhale, come back up. Nice tall spine. Take a moment just to pause here. So it's important as we're moving the spine kind of flexion and extension that we incorporate some other movements as well. So by doing side bending and by doing some rotation. So from your seat, we're going to go ahead and move into some side bending poses. So you can keep your left hand grounded either to your thigh or maybe to the seat of your chair. We're going to inhale, sweep the right arm all the way up. And before we go right over into a side bend, I want you to focus on lengthening, growing your spine nice and tall. If it doesn't work so well on the shoulder to have your arm kind of reaching right up and overhead, you can opt for cactus arm, bending the elbow. Fingertips are still pointing upwards. So here or here, take a deep breath in. And then as you exhale, you're going to side bend slightly towards your left. Inhale, come back up through center. And exhale, side bend in that same direction towards the left. Inhale, nice and tall. And exhale, side bend. Inhale, come back through center. And then release, right hand down, either to your thigh or to your seat. We'll do this on the other side. Inhale, lift the left arm up. Focus on creating that length, whether the arm is pretty straight or you're opting to bend at the elbow. We'll take a deep breath in. And exhale, side bend to the right. Inhale, come back up through center. Exhale again, same direction to the right. Last round. Inhale to straighten. And exhale, side bend. Inhale, come back up. And exhale, release. We'll incorporate some rotations to the spine. So inhale, reach both arms all the way up. And as you exhale, we're going to take a twist to the left. So you can bring right hand to the outside of the left leg. Your left hand can come kind of to the seat of your chair. What's important here, as we're twisting through the spine, we want to keep that length that we've created. So I don't want your twist to look a little something like this, right? We've created that length in the spine. If that means that maybe you untwist a little bit, then go ahead and do that for your body. We're creating that body awareness. Make sure you're still breathing. Take one more breath in and out. And then inhale, slowly unwind. Take the arms up and overhead. And exhale, twist to your right. Left hand comes to the outside of the right leg. Right hand comes back behind you, maybe to the seat of your chair. Keep that length, continuing to press up through the very top of your head. Just starting to wring out the spinal column. Giving the muscles, the fascia, a little bit of a massage here. One more breath in and out. And we'll inhale, unwind. Let's go ahead, send the arms all the way up and overhead. And exhale, release the arms down. So from here, we're going to come to a standing position. I'll move my seat just off to the side here. And you're welcome to, after this webinar, we're going to be posting the recording to our YouTube page. So if you want to come back to these time and time again, I think that's great. And if you have the availability to practice these near a mirror, that is a really helpful tool so that you can actually see what your body looks like. That starts to help build that body awareness and proprioception as well. So let's come to a standing position with the toes facing forward, feet about hip distance apart. Or to come to what we call mountain pose or Tadasana. So stand up nice and tall. Really press through the soles of your feet. Lengthen up through the spine. Let your arms just come alongside the body. Drop the shoulders away from the ears. I like to use this pose as kind of a baseline so that you can check in with your body and notice if you're holding tension in certain places. A lot of times in the shoulders, you know, we're hunched over at a desk or a computer, so the shoulders might be tight and it might require a little shake or a little roll to release the shoulders from the ears. This is also a great place to check in with that lower back extension. So extension in the lumbar spine is normal, but if it's exaggerated, that's where it comes into a little bit of that hyperlordosis that we talked about. So In my spine, you can see there is some extension at the lumbar, lower spine. But if I were to exaggerate that and really stick out my bum, it does not feel all that comfortable. It feels really pinchy in the lower back. And that is an example of poor posture. So to correct that, we could do kind of a few pelvic tilts and start to just bring your awareness. If you're looking in a mirror, you tend to stick out the bum, or is it more of that neutral shape with the spine? Go ahead and take another breath in and out. And then from here, we're going to move into chair pose. So chair pose in yoga, people tend to either love it or hate it, but it's another great posture to help us address that potential hyperlordosis in the lower back. So from your standing position, keep the feet apart. We're going to inhale, sweep the arms all the way up and overhead. And then as you exhale, go ahead and bend the knees and start to send the tailbone back. So we're bending the knees. Take a peek down, looking at the feet. We want to make sure we can still see the toes. If you're heading this way with the knees over the toes, not so great for stacking of the bones. So standing here, weight bearing in the heels, sending the sit bones and the tailbone down and back. For the upper body, we want to make sure that the heart is nice and open. Arms and hands can come to heart center, or you can extend the arms alongside the ears. Now, I tend to come into a little bit of an exaggerated extension in the lumbar spine. So here you want to make sure that you're not sticking out the bum as far as you can, but you're keeping some core engagement. Remember, it's important to strengthen the core. So engage your belly button toward your spine, and you'll start to find a little bit more neutrality through the spinal column. You're working hard here. You might be breathing a little bit heavy or starting to get warm. Take one more breath in and out. And then we'll start to straighten the legs, come all the way up to stand. So we talked about holding tension in the shoulders and the upper body, and doing some heart opening poses is really helpful for that. So we're going to come to our standing position. Inhale, we'll sweep the arms all the way up and overhead. And then exhale, we're going to bend the elbows, palms facing forward, fingers spread nice and wide, and really puffing out the chest. So that breastbone, that sternum, it's going to be directing forward, a little bit upwards. Good. From this cactus shape, again, we're going to inhale, send the arms all the way up and overhead, lengthen through the body, through the spine, and exhale, cactus arms, let the heart shine forward. Inhale, arms come up. And then exhale, elbows down. Good. Inhale, reach the arms all the way up and overhead. And then exhale, release the arms down to your sides. Good. From here, we're going to do some poses that are going to take us a little bit closer down towards the earth. We'll start with some low lunges to really start to stretch out our hip flexors. So if we're sitting all day long, our hips are kind of creased here, and the hip flexors tend to get a little bit tight. You might notice it when you stand up from sitting at your desk after a long day, but we're really going to move into some postures that are going to strengthen, lengthen the tissues here. So from your standing pose, if you're on a mat, you want to come to the top of the mat. If you're just on your floor, no worries. Just make sure you have enough space behind you. And if you have sensitive knees, you may want to have a blanket or a pillow nearby. So we're going to take a big step back with the right foot. Go ahead and bend into the left knee. So we're coming into a lunge position here. All of our toes are facing forward. We're going to slowly lower the right knee down. So this is where you might tuck in a little extra cushion. Now I want you to notice here, as you're in this pose, if you feel much sensation in the front of your right hip. For some, you might feel quite a lot with kind of both knees bent at about a 90-degree angle. For other people, you might need a little bit more space to feel that sensation. If that's your case, go ahead and bring your fingertips down towards your left foot, curl the right toes under, lift the right knee, and then walk it back slightly. Go ahead and come back up with the torso and check in. Feel a nice big stretch along the front of the right hip. Left knee is going to stay over the left ankle. And then with the hands, maybe you keep the hands to your hips. Maybe you interlace fingers and press hands down to the left thigh. You can find a little pulsating here, but you want to stay upright with the torso. We're not collapsing down, nor are we exaggerating it and heading way back. Relax the shoulders, reach up with the crown of the head. Take one more breath in and out. Good. Hands are going to come down to the mat. We'll curl the right toes under, lift the right knee, and then we'll take a big step with the right foot up to meet the left. Maybe that's a few smaller steps. Maybe it's one big step and slowly come all the way back up. Stand. Take a moment here. Come back to your neutral spine, nice and tall. Notice if you feel a little different lingering sensation in the front of the right hip as compared to the left. We'll even that out. Don't you worry. Good, so from here, I'm going to take a big step back with the left foot, bending into the right knee. Starting from this high lunge, using your strength, we'll start to bend. Left knee comes down. Add that support if you need it, and then take the opportunity to check in. You might feel a lot of sensation in the front of the left hip, but again, if you need more, fingertips come down to frame the right foot and walk the left knee back. Up with the torso, hands to the hips, or press the hands down to the right thigh. But again, shoulders relaxed, gazing forward. Maybe find a little pulsation, a little movement here, if that feels good. Don't forget to breathe. Take one more full breath in and out. And then we'll bring the hands down towards the mat. This time, a little different transition. So instead of walking left foot up to meet the right, we're going to be taking the right foot back so that we're coming down onto our hands and knees. We'll come into a child's pose. So sending the sit bones down towards the heels, reaching the arms out. Let the forehead come down either onto the mat, onto a pillow, onto a block, or stacking your hands and resting the head down there. Take this as an opportunity to again check in with your breath. Nice big stretch for the back body. One more full breath in your child's pose. And then we'll come on to hands and knees. And from here, we're going to sit off to one side. So you can move in whatever way that you need to so that you come to a seated position on your mat. We're going to practice one last pose, which is really important for building that strength in the glutes, as well as strengthening the legs and giving us a little bit more body awareness of what's going on in the back as we're laying down on the earth. So we want to plant the feet and have the knees bent. Use your hands here to help guide your way down onto your spine. And then take a moment to check in once you get there. If you have that exaggerated lumbar extension, you might find that there's a lot of space between your lower back and the earth. If that's the case, press down into the feet, kind of scoop the tailbone, tilting the pelvis, and then ground the back of your pelvis down. Maybe you feel a little less space there. So just check in. And then keeping the feet slightly apart, bring your arms down alongside your body, palms facing down, and perhaps walk the feet in a little bit closer towards your glutes. Maybe in your experience, you're able to brush kind of the heels of your feet with the tips of your fingers. Maybe not, depending on the length of your arms. But we're going to come into 3 bridges, moving with our breath. So go ahead and press the feet down into the earth, lift the hips and the pelvis, give a squeeze to the glutes, keep the chest nice and open. And then holding this posture, continue to breathe. Feel the belly inflating and deflating with each breath. And take in one more deep inhalation. Exhale to slowly lower the spine back down to the earth. We're going to do that twice more. So press the feet down into the ground. Inhale, lift the hips and pelvis. Pause here, but continue to breathe. Take in a nice deep breath. Exhale, slowly lower the spine down to the mat or to the ground. Good. Releasing the glutes, we're going to do just one more. So press the feet down into the earth, lift the hips and pelvis, breathing in. Good. Keep breathing here, engaging the glutes, building that strength. Take one more breath in. And exhale, slowly, mindfully release the spine down. Good. From here, you can curl your knees up into your chest. Maybe bring your hands or your arms around the legs. You can do a little rock from side to side. This feels really nice, foremost, on the lower back. A little rock, a bit of a hug in towards the body. And then you're invited to roll to your left or to your right. Pause here for a moment in a fetal position. A nice deep breath in and out. When you feel ready, slowly and mindfully begin to press your way up. You can come to a seated position. Check in with the length that you've created in your spine, the openness in your chest and in your hips. Cultivating that body awareness in our yoga practice. From here, I'm going to turn it back to Dr. Trish Murray, and she's going to finish up the rest of our webinar presentation.
Let's see if I go back here. So can you, yeah, so folks can hear me? Yes. All right. So thank you, Megan, for your presentation. Now, awareness. That was a really awesome thing to point out to folks and to have people be aware. Because if we're not, we do so many things in a unconscious habitual behaviors. So what I'd like folks to do right now is look back at maybe the way you answered the questions in the beginning, And then ask yourself, how do you feel right now compared to the way you did when you signed in to the webinar tonight? I can tell you that I've had a very busy day, and even though my job is to treat patients with my hands, and I'm up and down out of my chair and back in my chair throughout the day, stress and things make my body tight. And the wonderful presentation that Megan just gave, and I'm sitting, I was sitting originally at my desk here giving this presentation. I just moved my chair back, or first I did it in my desk chair where we were seated, and then I just moved my chair out of the way and did the movement. So I feel less stressed. I feel more relaxed. My muscle tightness has reduced, and my posture feels like it's better. So ask yourself, what did you notice, or what do you notice right now that might be different for you if you went through those movements with Megan? And go ahead and either write it down on your own little piece of scrap paper or type them in the chat box. So when I'm done the presentation, we can take a look at those and share with each other. Because ultimately, folks, good posture is important for so many different aspects of our lives. Optimizing your posture can outshine the effects of many exercises. See, no amount of working out can fix bad posture. This is why we created Discover Health Movement Membership. This program provides 3 online classes per week, one of which is, of course, Discover Yoga with wonderful Megan, who just presented her wonderful presentation. The second class each week is Self-Myofascial Release, which teaches you how to unwind your own fascial knots and adhesions. And the third is Movement for Longevity, which educates you on how to optimize the interaction between your nervous system and your connective tissue system. And all of these classes are put together to complement each other in optimizing your physical performance and movement, as well as your mental clarity. So to learn more about Discover Health Movement Membership, you're going to go to discoverhealthfmc.com/#movement. I'll say that again, discoverhealthfmc.com/#movement. And of course, we will put that in the chat. Now, I hope you found today's class to be informative. And if there's anything more I can do to help you understand the importance of maintaining good posture, please let me know and reach out. As we age, our posture, strength, flexibility, and overall health takes more and more effort to maintain. And our goal at Discover Health Functional Medicine Center and Discover Health Movement Membership is to make this easier by giving you the information and the tools you need to take control of your health so you can transform your life. So please let me know if you have any questions regarding what we've covered today. Put them in the chat box. But also, if you think of something later after the presentation is over, there are numerous ways that you can reach out to us. First of all, you could go to Facebook, and if you're not already a member of our Discover Health Facebook group, just go to Discover Health Functional Medicine Center's Facebook page and request to join our Discover Health Facebook group. Everyone is welcome. And in that group, you can ask questions, and we also will post all of the resources we use to put this talk together tonight there for you tomorrow. Another way to reach out is through health coach Trish. There's Dr. Trish and there's health coach Trish. And Coach Trish just has a lot more time than I do to receive the emails and then go to the right person to get the answers. And her email is discoverhealthcoaching@gmail.com. Again, that's email discoverhealthcoaching@gmail.com. Now again, as we typically do after every one of my monthly presentations or webinars, we post in our Discover Health Facebook group numerous links to the resources that we use to create the presentation. And again, to join our Facebook group, our Discover Health Facebook group, just go to Discover Health Functional Medicine Center on our Facebook page and request to join our group. So thank you all for attending today and giving your all. Also want to thank Megan for her awesome presentation and for taking us through some yoga moves that will help us optimize our posture. Just remember, strong posture starts with good body awareness. And don't miss next month's webinar, as it will be all about the anatomy and function of the fascia. And Lisa Burke, our self-myofascial release teacher, will be joining me to show you some of the self-myofascial release techniques. You are not going to want to miss it, because as I say in my latest book, the fascial system is the missing link to healthy aging. So I want to thank everyone so much for coming. And Megan, thank you so much for presenting. It was wonderful. And we will see everybody next month for a focus on the fascial anatomy and self-myofascial release.